Welcome to Your D&D Story. It's the show where we interview Dungeons & Dragon adventurers and have them roll dice in a mini adventure. Today we have the remarkable and well-respected Chris Hunkala, also known as Treantmonk. He is an enthusiast of all tabletop role-playing games who specializes in optimization and rules analysis for Dungeons & Dragons. He is also known for his D&D and Pathfinder class guides that focuses on optimizing classes while making sure the game stays fun for everyone. Believe me when I say this, you will not regret clicking on his YouTube, Discord, and social media links found in the description below. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Are you excited and ready for the mini adventure today?
I'm always excited for D&D.
All right, so I have a small little mini adventure for you, and I hope you'll have fun playing it. This particular one is called Horde for the Taking. A local stronghold has always been home to a rather pompous nobleman and his ilk. For generations, they have drained the local territory not only of the bounty of the land, but anything that adventurers working through the guild had acquired. As the local guild commissions new fascinations grew, and precious gems, magical items, they all kind of fell into this nobleman's hands. As the treasury, he bought anything up he could, and anything that caught his attention, he just kept adding to this hoard, this treasure chest, and just kept growing. Little did he know that gathering so much wealth in one place would not only garner the attention of all rogues, thieves, bandits, but something much more capable of taking those treasures for itself. A young dragon, green in the wing, long in the tooth, still looking to settle down and begin the accumulation of its hoard, had caught the whiff of treasure and magic in the air. In a rain of dragon's breath, the entire homestead had been reduced to shambles of its former glory. Surprisingly, the owner and his family, along with a good portion of the staff, had made it out intact for the most part at least. However, much like the dragon, this lord, fueled by greed, placed a large bounty on the dragon's head, wishing to acquire his wealth back. Along with a large group of adventurers, you travel to these newly created ruins for the prospect of gold, fame, and quite frankly, whatever you can stuff into your pockets before they take inventory. We start this adventure with you hauling butt down a crumbling staircase, clutching 4 items in your hands, as the dragon slams into the wall behind you, causing you to fumble with these items. Before we get into it, could you please introduce your character?
My character is Boppo Needleace, and he is a arcane trickster, 4th level, and a lightfoot halfling. I like playing halflings especially. He loves going after dragons and stealing their hoards. It makes him feel like Bilbo.
Oh, perfect then. So as he is just coming down these stairs, this dragon is just cracking through this staircase, and you have 4 items in your hand. You have an opalescent necklace, a large bag of holding, an old iron key, and a wooden box full of miniature silver daggers. And all of these kind of give you the feel of something arcane going on about them. As this dragon's paw slams behind you, you tumble. And we are going to get our first check of the game to see how much of these fancy treasures you hold on to. Please give me a sleight of hand check.
Sleight of hand. Good at that. 21.
21! So, you managed to hold on to everything. And I'm going to give you a quick little rundown about what these items do. The first, the opalescent necklace. It turns you into a moon ray, and it can teleport you up to 30 feet once a day. So as you're tumbling, you throw that on the neck. The bag of holding, its entire carrying capacity has been used. It is filled to the brim with gold coins that you were able to pull out of the hoard before anything happened. You found an old iron-looking key with a tarnished tag that claims that this key can open any lock. And the last thing, a wooden box full of miniature silver daggers with some very neatly written instructions. Flick them with your finger and they'll always strike true. These particular silver daggers can be sent 1 or the entire set of 6, and they will always hit their target, kind of like magic missile. They do 1d4 plus 2 each.
Okay.
They are single use though, but you got 6 rounds. As we've just finished discussing this incredible haul that you got, why don't we go ahead and take our first question?
So Chris, I like to consider you the OG of class guides who has helped thousands of D&D and Pathfinder Dungeon Master and players over the years. Before you started sharing your class guides on the Wizard of the Coast and Paizo forums, what tabletop role-playing game were you playing, and were you making any guides for that game?
I started writing guides and publishing them on the Wizards forums. That was, I think it was 2008 or 2009. Mm-hmm. I've been role-playing since 81, I believe. Started with the basic set of D&D. So I played a lot of different role-playing games before then, but I didn't write any. I mean, the Wizards of the Coast, that was the first guide I had ever written. I always did research, right? At least once I became an adult, to see what the good combinations were and stuff like that, but I just did it on my own. I didn't write it down or anything.
As you run into the corridor, the dragon is on your tail. Several adventurers rush to your aid, but a few are sent flying. As you're running down this hallway, the dragon's chest flares and a light seems to emanate from its swollen glands. There are doors to either side of you, a window leading out the ledge into the entrance, and finally an entrance into a kitchen. Where would you like to go?
Well, I'm a halfling, so I'm going for the kitchen, and I'm going to look if there's like a cupboard or an oven that I could like leap into and close the door.
Oh, yes. Give me a perception check.
Sure. Well, that's not so good. 8.
With an 8, you run in and immediately you're like, covered something, and you see a pot of freshly made stew, and for that split second, that halfling stomach gets your attention.
Yeah, I'm dumping the stew and putting the pot right over and ducking down inside.
Okay, as you dump the stew and you cover over, you feel the rumbling all around you, and you get a little bit jostled as you feel something slam into the pot. Though a bit uncomfortable from the heat of the stew, you are more or less intact as the huge pot of stew is kind of rolling and barreling around the kitchen. Eventually it starts spinning, and coming up as you kind of look up out of the pot, you do see this large dragon. As the dragon takes a paw and slams both you and it through the wall, you kind of go tumbling. But this pot, it's a pretty good cast iron pot. It's holding you in place. As you are slammed, jostled, and kind of thinking, was this treasure worth it? You do see several of your fellow adventurers start jumping onto this dragon, clinging to its back, its neck, and as you're finally like, oh yeah, back up! It snaps one of those on its back and its jaws, and the one clinging to its neck yells to you, do something to distract it!
Do something to distract it. Okay, I'll try! And I'll go up, and I've got my big halfling feet, and I'll stomp on its foot. I'll go,
all right, give me an attack roll.
All right. With an unarmed strike, I have got a 14.
With a 14, you do actually hurt it. Give me a...
No damage. It's 1 point of damage plus your strength modifier, which for me is -1.
You know what, though? It is enough to garner his attention. Well, let's go ahead and take our next question.
So Chris, you recently Dungeon Master a level 20 one-shot with some friends to celebrate 50,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
So it's fairly common knowledge that D&D adventurers never make it past level 10, even though players have the option to go to level 20, right? Is there anything you learned from running the level 20 one-shot? And is there any simple changes that players can do to make high-level play more accessible in their games?
With this question, you have stumbled onto a video topic that I've got a video already done. My patrons have already seen it, and it will be released on my channel where I discuss high-level play and the things I do to make it work. This 20th level one-shot, I mean, I kind of teased at the beginning, let's see if it falls apart. Right. I knew it wasn't going to fall apart. I play high-level D&D fairly regularly, and I have a list of things I do to just kind of make sure it doesn't get out of hand. So yeah, video's coming.
Okay, so make sure everyone joins your Patreon, then you can get early access to the videos.
If you want to see it now, you can join the Patreon.
The suspense is killing me now.
As your halfling foot comes down the tail, the dragon, who is currently chomping a poor fighter in its mouth, kind of stops and just turns around like, who in the hell? It didn't hurt, but it was insulting enough. As you kind of look up and you kind of look down at your foot and you're like, oops, a large half-orc paladin woman crashes into the dragon with a lance. The dragon is impaled as this woman in full plate drops punching her hand into it. You do notice that she is brandishing a large guild flag that's just kind of embezzled with her own creed. As she slams to the dragon, a large spark of radiant energy crumbles the floor, and the pair go tumbling down a hole. You are caught in the chaos, and the floor is crumbling beneath you. You do have an option. You can either ditch an item for a better grip to auto-succeed, or you can give me an athletics check to try and keep yourself from tumbling into this hole.
Can I derail you here for a bit?
Oh, you absolutely can. That's the plan. Okay,
well, actually what he does is he is brave. Halfling trait, after all. And his friend just tumbled down that hole with that dragon, so he's diving down. He's like, wait for me! free, and he's jumping in right after her.
Excellent. As you just jump into this hole, you do notice that at first you thought like, oh, it's only going to be one floor down. I can make this. As the moments pass, as you're dropping, you do see your friend and this dragon still tumbling. As the dragon hits the floor, it cracks and gives way. She's still stabbing all the way down. The first floor goes crack. The second floor goes crack, and you're just ever so far enough away where you're just never quite there to land on the floor. Eventually, about 3 floors down from this mansion, the dragon hits solid ground. The paladin is dinged up from the continuous hits, and you're still free falling. How would you like to land?
If I have any control, I'll try to find a soft landing if I can, but I'm looking at my spells, no feather fall, so...
You do have an option. There is the dragon itself. You think, as long as you don't aim for a spot with the spines.
That would be my very first thought, is the dragon might cushion my fall. So if I can land on the dragon, I will.
So as you're falling, you think, there's the dragon, there's the back covered in spines, there's the wings with leather that probably would make a soft landing. There is the lance stuck into the dragon's side with the long flag still kind of billowing that you think you might be able to grab. And you want to try and go for the dragon, though, yes?
Yes. And like, as I'm falling, the short sword's getting pulled out, and it's like, here I come!
Awesome.
And, guess I would go for the wing.
The wing? All right. Give me an acrobatics check.
Alrighty.
See if you can kind of steer where you're falling.
Another 21.
You land right into the wing, sword in hand. You actually, because you landed with such a high number, you are able to get a free attack off on this wing if you would like.
Let's do it. Critical hit.
As a DM, I like to... as a DM, I do like to reward my players for rolling their crits. So you do max damage, and what I like to do is I double that damage.
All right, so the short sword is a D6. Then I've got 2d6 sneak attack. I assume the paladin is still next to the dragon, so I should qualify.
Oh, yes, it is.
So that's 3d6 plus 4, and so it becomes 6d6, maximize, I believe, 40 damage.
You pretty much tear the entire wing down as you slam, just crippling this dragon's ability to fly. Excellent job. And I think this is a perfect time for our next question.
All right, that's exciting. Your per se slogan is D&D is for everyone. You believe that optimization of your character is okay, but make sure that your thirst for power doesn't ruin the game experience for others in the process. What are 1 to 3 tips you would give to a new player who's fighting that inner voice to min-max every character that they make?
So that's a good question, and I just have one tip, really.
Okay.
Yeah, min-max away. Like, min-max to your heart's desire. All you have to do is look at the other players, their characters, what they can do, min-max to make them better or to complement them, rather than trying to overshadow them or outdoing them. Nobody minds that your character's super powerful at making them better. Nobody.
Okay, so I guess the issue always came from people when they did optimization, they were just overshadowing somebody else in the game.
I mean, know your table, right? So if you're playing with other people and they're all optimizers, right, then you don't have to worry about it, right? Because they're going to keep up. But if you're playing with people who aren't, and you have the opportunity to outdo them, or you have the opportunity to make them better, I would focus my min-max energy on making them better. And then it's not disruptive to the game at all then.
As you have crippled this dragon's ability to fly, it is now seeing you as a full threat. We're going to go ahead and roll initiative.
Okay. Not so good this time. 7.
The dragon unfortunately got a 15. However, your paladin friend got a 2. So... It's okay, it's just a young green dragon. But you got to keep in mind, it's had about 15 adventurers thrown at it so far. So you should be in relatively good strength.
As long as I survive the poison breath, yes.
So the dragon is going first. You have done the most damage to it. Well, in a single hit anyway. So it is going to take a bite at you. With a 6, I'm fairly certain it's not going to hit you, though.
That ain't going to hit, no.
So as its jaws snap at you, you definitely dodge out of the way. Your little tippy toes of your halfling feet just barely miss the fangs. It is, however, going to go with 1 claw. And again, I'm pretty sure a 9's not going to hit you.
No.
And as you're just scrambling away, you just see claws tearing out the ground behind you. And this last claw attack is actually going to go at the paladin because you are just too slippery to hit. The paladin is actually going to take this hit. That is only 11 damage to the paladin. And you are up next on the initiative order.
Yeah, and I'm still right next to it?
You're right next to it.
Well, in that case, I will use steady aim as my bonus action to get advantage on the attack, and then I will attempt to stab it.
Awesome.
And I've got a natural 1 here, so I am a halfling, so I'm going to just re-roll that. All right, so I have gotten 18.
18 does hit.
All right, so 14 damage.
Nice. So as this dragon has already been cleaved up by part of the adventurers and your massive damage that you did, you do manage to find a bit of its arm that's still fresh from another wound, and you're just like, get it! And it is rearing back. It is unsure how someone this small is doing this much damage to it. Do you have any other actions you would like to?
No, I cannot move if I use steady aim, so that'll be the end of my turn.
The paladin, trying to keep up with you, is going to swing at the dragon, and she's going to hit, and she's going to go ahead and smite. So she's nowhere near as impressive as you, and there's a radiant burst of light again for a meager 14 damage. From a paladin smite, that's not as impressive as a halfling with a short sword just get in there. So yes, that was the paladin's move. Not as magnificent as your halfling, but I think it's a good time to answer another question.
You will soon be leaving the metropolis of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, also known as Cowtown, and be trading in for a city next to the ocean. What is one spot in the city that you will miss? And is there a store or place that D&D nerds should definitely check out if they're ever to visit the area?
Yeah, I am planning to move out of Calgary, hopefully within the next 2 months if everything goes well, and I'll be moving to St. John, New Brunswick, so that's like a 3,000 miles from where I am now. Yeah, so a long way. If you are a nerd in Calgary, you are lucky to have one of the largest role-playing game stores in the world.
Oh, really?
That is the Sentry Box. So that is the place where it has always been. Gord started the Sentry Box like 40 years ago, and D&D players have been meeting there ever since. And it's huge. It is massive. It's a warehouse filled with goodies. It's fantastic. As for the place I will miss the most, though, because I don't go to the Sentry Box so much anymore since Amazon and everything, right? Where I'll miss the most is Calgary is 1 hour outside of Banff National Park, and it is the Rocky Mountains and just nestled in there, and it is fantastic. And my wife and I go there semi-regularly, and we just were there about 2 weeks ago, and we were kind of thinking this might be the last time we go to Banff.
Gonna make me cry, man. You know?
So as the paladin has made this strike against the dragon, you do see a large green fireball go flying past your head. It does slam into the dragon, and as the dragon gets hit, you kind of look back and you see a half-elf mage sitting there, staff in hand. Now, with you there, the dragon is going to kind of line up both of you. Expand its chest cavity one more time, and as this green mist kind of roils out of its mouth, please give me a Constitution saving throw.
Played the wrong kind of halfling. 20 total.
So, the dragon exhales this poisonous gas in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a DC check. You completely passed that. Awesome job. Poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful. I'm just going to roll half the dice for you because that mage ain't going to make it. Only 18 damage.
Yeah, I'm okay. Looking a little green around the gills, but...
So as this noxious gas just kind of floats past you, and you're just like, oh! It's like the worst cooking smell you've ever heard. And as you kind of turn back to see this mage, he is just flat-faced on the ground. As the dragon is kind of coughing up some ichor from its mouth, obviously the damage you've done, and the paladin and all the other party, it's taken a real toll, and it is sitting there trying to... catch its breath. It is your turn.
I think I'm going to cast a spell, and it will be,
Ooh.
I'm going to whisper in the dragon's ear a funny joke for Tasha's hideous laughter, and I would like it to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, very good. The 3 on the die, it does not make it.
It falls prone and is incapacitated.
Oh, wow. The dragon, already short of breath, is just rolling on the ground. It's already can't breathe, and it's just... taking this extra damage, and I believe that it's a save on each of its turns, correct?
Yes, at the end of each of its turns, it can make another save.
Okay.
It also can make a save with advantage if it takes damage.
I see. The paladin, not wanting to waste this chance, is going to try and line up an attack, though. Oh, that is a 19 on the die. Good job on the advantage. She's going to bring down her sword for 12 damage. She is all out of smiting abilities. Oh no. As she slams her blade into this dragon, she is going to look at you and say, do something else! She is panicking as this dragon is hit. Its eyes snap open and it is going to try to break free of this laughter. Unfortunately, the fact that she is screaming for help from you is just too damn funny. I mean, the attacks, they shouldn't be hurting him that bad, right? He's kind of laughing it off. This whole situation is funny. This paladin is swinging wildly. There's a halfling across the way just telling jokes. He's having a good old time. Let's go ahead and get our next question.
So, Spelljammers and Dragonlance settings are coming out in August 2022. Are you a fan of these settings? And do you think these settings will have an impact on how people currently play Dungeons and Dragons?
So I've never played in the Dragonlance setting. I've read some of the books, and it seems cool. It seems more like a standard fantasy, though. Like it has some unique elements. But the one that I think is going to be really wild is Spelljammer, because Spelljammer is very different. I've played a couple Spelljammer games, but not with 5th edition. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be so different than anything that people have done up to now.
Awesome. And do you think any elements from Spelljammers are going to leak over into regular D&D sessions?
Oh, probably. What you can do is you can kind of mix. Like you could have your standard adventuring party find their way onto a Spelljammer ship for a session or two, right. and then drop back off. So you'll be able to dip it into other settings.
All right. Let's see if this dragon can resist the laughter. Yeah, with a 4, this dragon, it can't even maintain. It's just too funny. And as is rolling over laughing, all it does, it looks to you, and apparently the sight of a halfling holding a blade coming at him it's too funny. Where in the world is a halfling going to take on a dragon? And let's find out, because it is your turn.
All right. Does he look like he's getting close being finished off?
Oh, he looks mangled. Absolutely mangled.
Awesome. Well, then I am going to attack. Plus 6, 21.
Oh, that definitely hits. Let's see your damage.
16 damage.
As this dragon is there just laughing, you're standing right above it, bap, hit into it, and with this cleave, it is severely hurt. It's not quite down. It's not quite there yet.
All right, I'll call to my paladin friend. Finish it off! Finish it off!
Let's see what your paladin friend can do. That's a 1 on the die.
Should still be a prone dragon.
Oh, that's right.
But I tell her she should have played a halfling. She could have re-rolled that one.
Especially when she only gets a 6 on the die for the second roll. She's finding this situation pretty funny too. As she tries to stab it, the dragon's just kind of rolling over on its side. She can't quite stab him because the paladin does miss. So the dragon's turn does come up. Let's see if the fact that this paladin cannot smack a prone dragon wasn't funny enough to keep it going. What was your DC?
12.
12. It is a 13 on the die. The dragon no longer finds the fact that you keep smacking it in the face funny. It is going to go for its full round of attacks. It did not recharge its breath. First one's going at the paladin. 14 on the die. That is going to hit. So that is only 8 damage as the fangs latch down onto this paladin. While it's still digging its teeth into the paladin, it's going to bring one of its claws into it. It's going to hit as well. That's 12 damage more, and your paladin friend is down. And this dragon's got one last claw attack. It's going to go for the halfling. I wish my camera was better so I could show that one. I thought halfling luck was about re-rolling your ones, not giving other animals or other things the ones. As the dragon's claw just slams down, and what it thought was just going to squish you, and it just wham, slammed, and then there's the halfling sticking right between the toes, just looking up. Let's go ahead and go to a new question after that embarrassing display by this dragon.
You cover just about every D&D topic on your YouTube channel, but one topic I rarely see you talk about is race. I'm going to name various D&D races, and I want you to tell us once and for all which class is the best for that race in your opinion. So just kind of go quick, whatever you think, best class for that race, right? You ready?
That's tough.
Okay.
So Warforge.
Wizard.
Lizardfolk.
Wizard.
Bugbear.
Wizard. Actually, Bugbear, Gloomstalker, Assassin, Fighter.
I knew there was going to be something there. It's been Tabaxi.
Wizard.
Half-orc.
Wizard.
Wizard. Okay.
Well, we can do this all day if you want.
Okay.
If you're asking me what the best like in terms of power, as for any race, it's pretty much going to always be wizard, right? Wizards are just the best class.
Okay.
And now that you can switch around ability scores, like it used to be a case where, well, maybe if you can't get the right ability score, that's not so good. But now you can switch them around. So yeah, everything makes a good wizard now, and wizards are the best class. So it's just a super easy. I mean, when I do builds on my channel, you know I just recognize that not everybody wants to play a wizard all the time, right? So we look at what we can do with other classes. But the fact is wizard, it's built in. It's just really strong.
Okay, so everybody only play wizards. That's all.
No, that's not the message.
That's what I heard. 100%.
But you could do a party of all wizards, and you'd probably be fine, right? You'd probably want a blade singer in there.
All right, let's get back to the game here.
So yeah, that embarrassing display by the dragon has left it wide open to you. It is your turn.
Well, I will try to finish it off. I'll use steady aim to give myself advantage. Natural 1, second natural 1. And that becomes a 16, which becomes 22.
That definitely hits.
All right. So we got 11 plus 4 is 15.
As this dragon just zooms in closer to your halfling, trying to figure out how it could have possibly missed squishing you, you just very casually stab it right in the eye. As the dragon rears back, it tumbles off of the body of the paladin, falls back, your sword still in its eye. As it tries to get back up, it slips, it goes down, and it impales its own self on your sword.
Right, I'll need to get that sword back. But the first thing I'll be doing is checking on my half-orc friend and seeing if I can save her life.
As you flip her over, you do see that a couple of her potions strapped to her belt are shattered, but just based off their own halfling luck, there's one still intact.
All right, it goes down her throat.
She wakes up.
Though I do briefly consider putting it in the bag of holding.
As you were like snappily trying to put it in the bag of holding, it's literally full of gold. There's just no room.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I guess. You pour it on her. And as her eyes snap open, she does see this dragon just crippled and mangled, the sword impossibly deep stuck in its eye, and you just sitting there holding an empty potion bottle. Congratulations. Combat is over. I did not expect that first crit to like cripple this dragon, so
yeah, that was pretty epic.
That was a lucky roll, yes.
I honestly expected you to have to use quite a few of these items. You are loaded up to go home with these. You have the opalescent necklace, which probably didn't know after you use it once, it shatters.
Oh, yeah?
You have an entire bag of holding stuff with gold. The old iron-looking key, if you had tried to use it on one of the doors, it definitely would have unlocked the door, however, the door would break.
Oh.
And lastly, the wooden box full of miniature silver daggers. You didn't even have to use them.
It seemed to me
stab it all day long.
If they hit like magic missiles, then I wouldn't get sneak attack. And I'm like, I'm a rogue. I want my sneak attack.
See. And what I would like to say though is, if you ever get the chance to play with us again, or you would like to hang out with us, whenever someone comes onto our little thing, they fully keep all of the gear that they get in the encounter. I have one question that I've been meaning to ask you. I always wanted to know, who do you think would win in a fist fight, a wizard or a sorcerer?
In a fist fight? Let me think about that for a bit.
All spell slots are gone.
And all spell slots are gone. I was about to say whoever's got the Big B's hand would win the fist fight. Otherwise, I don't know. It probably neither of them, because they would be like, and they would be unable to hurt each other. So, whoever got tired first, I guess, would lose.
That's hilarious. You survived the mini adventure today. So, is there anything on your mind right now, or anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out. Actually, there's a Kickstarter for a new app, and this app is like a Tinder for D&D players.
Yeah,
it's called the LFG app. Mm-hmm. If you watch YouTube videos, you've probably seen some spots for it.
Yep.
A friend of mine, Colby from D4 Deep Dive, is personally involved, and he asked me to plug it on a video. Which I did, but I'll plug it now as well. I think the more people that sign up for something like this, the better it's going to work, right? Obviously, more members means more people playing D&D. That's what I want.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I saw that on Colby's channel and on your channel as well. So I think it's a really great app. Last thing here, do you want to do any city faces, victory pose?
Like finger guns?
You can do finger guns if you want. Or I'm not sure if you wanted to say D&D's for everyone.
Sure, D&D is for everyone.